Hi, I'm going to talk about my contract that I wrote between Hillcrest and Jeff's uniform company. I'm going to talk about the elements that I placed in my contract. Some of the elements are the definitions. The definitions of Jeff's will be named in the contract. Jeff's boarding schools will be named in the contract as Jeff's. And Hillcrest School District will just be named Hillcrest in the contract. Another element of that portion is team. Team shall mean the group of athletes attending Hillcrest. Game shall mean the games or matches that the students will be playing that are needing these uniforms. Coach shall mean the individual who is employed by Hillcrest, and this will be the person that can order via a purchase order for the uniforms. Another item in here would be a covered program activity, meaning that these will be the sports that the uniforms are used for. An additional section in here, so my section 2 would be terms, and that would mean that the agreement of this contract would be 1-year contract at a time, and what I placed in here was that it would be in effect from September 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019, unless it's terminated anytime sooner than that. Number 3 on the contract is Jeff's product supply obligation. And what I placed in here is that under the agreement, Hillcrest shall be entitled to order uniforms as needed and receive the indicated first order within a designated time, which will be stated in the contract, and it's based on the number of enrolled students who are playing sports. Number 4 is product ordering, logo, and delivery. So the coach will be able to approve the uniforms needed via a purchase order that will be signed basically by the district, because that's who's signing this contract. In order to have a logo of the school, it needs to be a digital logo sent in high resolution DPI to Jeff's. Custom orders, meaning a individual student's name placed on the uniform, that needs to be sent to Jeff's with correct spelling, and that if there is incorrect spelling based on what's sent to Jeff's, then that will be needed a reorder, and that will cost the school additional. An expedited order turnaround could be hindered if Jeff's is unable to purchase certain uniform material from a wholesaler. In that event, then Hillcrest or Jeff's has the option to go to a second vendor that Jeff's works with. Number 5 on my contract is cash and other consideration. So I placed on here, this is the first order from Jeff's, and this is based on the initial order that Hillcrest is requesting, so that's the amount for the first order. And also that Hillcrest reserves the right to order up to 500 single items, which will be comprised of boys and girls uniforms for the following sports, which is basketball, soccer, and volleyball. Also in this section, Hillcrest will make an advance payment to Jeff's in the amount of $10,000 in exchange for having the right to take delivery of the first order within 30 days. And also Hillcrest agrees to make payment of items in section 5A, which is this right here, section 5A, as well as payment stated in section 5C, which is the $10,000. In addition to that, number 6 is I placed in here termination rights, Hillcrest. So in section 5, Hillcrest reserves the right to terminate this contract within 5 days. So it's kind of one of those, sit on it and think about it before you fully complete and sign the contract. So, or after you sign the contract, you have the right to dismiss this contract without consequences. If Hillcrest terminates the contract after the date, 5 days after the date of signing, Jeff agrees not to file a lawsuit against Hillcrest. Termination rights on number 7 for Jeff's is Jeff reserves the right to terminate the contract after 5 days of signing the contract, but in the event Jeff terminates the contract 5 days after the date of signing, Hillcrest agrees to not file a lawsuit against Jeff's. Breach of contract. I have breach of contract in here. If Hillcrest breaches the contract after the 5th day of signing, this contract, Hillcrest agrees to pay Jeff's the $5,687.50. That was the first initial order. If Jeff's breaches the agreed contract after the 5th day of signing, this contract, Hillcrest will receive a material breach of agreement in the amount of $20,000, which was the initial agreement. Also, if Hillcrest is able to seek another uniforms company that will do the same thing as this contract, meaning the uniforms, the initial order, the delivery date in all initial orders up to the 500 uniforms, everything in this contract, if they can find another vendor, then Jeff's will not be obligated to pay the $20,000 because there's no difference between the two contracts. So I also have number 9, the entire contract, which states, as of the execution date hereof, this agreement shall constitute the entire understanding between Hillcrest and Jeff's and may not be altered, modified, except by a written agreement signed by both parties. Any previous agreements between Hillcrest and Jeff shall have no further force or effect. In the event Jeff enters into terms or other agreements or understandings, whether electronic, email, or text, whether verbal or written, with Hillcrest employees not authorized to place an order, or other end users such as students' parents, such agreements as they relate to Hillcrest shall be null, void, and without effect, and the terms of this agreement shall apply. That section means that if a parent goes to Jeff's and says, I need my child's uniform for soccer by the end of the week, that's not going to happen. If a student contacts Jeff's and says, I have a game in 5 days and I need a uniform right now, it's not going to happen. The only person that can authorize a uniform is the coach, and it has to have a signed PO by the district. Otherwise, there's no other way a uniform will be made. And in the end, I have it signed by Hillcrest, superintendent, and Jeff's. So with that, hopefully everything goes well with this contract. And that will be the end.